Hello and welcome. It is the World Mission Update. My name is Rusty Humphries. I'm just here to kind of help out. That guy's the one that's important. His name is Greg Kelley, and he's the CEO of World Mission. And he's not even that important either. This is really all about one guy, and that's Jesus.
There you go.
And spreading the word of God. If you would please help us by sharing this video, hit the share button, the subscribe button, and check out worldmission.cc. So we're heading back to Afghanistan. Is that right, Greg?
No doubt about it, Rusty. I mean, I think that we have to recognize, as Christians, kind of the seasons that we're in and what are going on, what's some hot spots, and Afghanistan remains that. I mean, let's not forget, as we focus as an organization on places where the gospel's not been, Afghanistan is going to be on that list at kind of Exhibit A. You've got less than 1/4% of the country, even before the tragedies that we've been hearing about for these last few months, are followers of Jesus. So it has to be on the radar of Christians, Rusty. It's just obviously incredible levels and layers of complexities that make that difficult. But today, we need to be aware about what's going on in Afghanistan. And new stories we're being told every day from our partners in Pakistan and also, obviously, inside of Afghanistan.
I mean, I would think that a lot of folks would just go, there's nothing we can do. We can't get in there. I mean, it's run by the Taliban. This is one of the most dangerous, barbaric people groups in history. And, what can you really do?
Yeah. I mean, I think that kind of becomes the line that we use in a lot of places. I mean, throw whatever, throw Somalia in there, throw North Korea in there, throw any number of these primarily Hindu, Buddhist, Islamic countries like Afghanistan in there. And it's difficult. But I think when we look through the lens of what I can do, that's very limiting. Because when we think of missions in the Great Commission, so many times we associate that action word of go with it. And you're right. You're not going to go there, Rusty. I'm not even going to go into. I don't have plans to travel inside of Afghanistan anytime soon. But that doesn't mean that Jesus' last words don't still apply to us. Go make disciples of all nations. We just have to do it in such a way where you and I aren't physically there, but coming alongside activities like what we're doing, World Mission, because we have national leaders, some of the most, and you've met some of them, Rusty. I mean, these are some of the most brilliant, courageous, bravery, off the charts that sort of describe these individuals, and they are the ones doing the ministry. You and I and the listeners of the World Mission Update, our role is to pray for them and to come alongside of them so they can be the hands and feet of Jesus. That's the key.
And the other thing is in a natural way, man, it's tough and maybe even impossible in a lot of ways, but God's not acting on a natural way. He's in a supernatural way, and he's the one that can do anything he wants, and we're just there as tools to help.
God can do anything he wants, Rusty, and I'm going to share a story to that effect as we are praying. And I know a lot of times it sounds kind of cliche, or it keeps me on the sidelines when guys like me and you, when we're saying, hey, pray. Friends, the Lord of the harvest called us to pray as an action word before he told us to go. He said, pray to the Lord of the harvest to send forth laborers into these mission fields. So we need to pray. Now, this is what God just did, Rusty, and this just happened a week ago. I haven't been able to share the story because so many of the things that are going on inside of Afghanistan, we've been tried to thread the needle between sharing enough information, but also being vague, because if people are exposed, the Taliban are killing Christians today. They're hunting down followers of Jesus today. And so we are very concerned about, keeping identities and locations out of the public eye for that very reason. So we can help without being specific, but this is a story that just happened, Rusty. And you said it. You set this up perfectly. You said, and Rusty didn't know what I was going to be talking about. You said what God can do. It's basically not in the natural, but the supernatural. And as we pray, so this is what happened, Rusty. Okay. This group of Taliban, they had heard about a village where there were first generation, brand new followers of Jesus. And they went to that community and they killed people. This just happened a few days ago. They executed them to send messages to, and they do it in these barbaric ways. I mean, the stories that we're hearing of how they're killing people is like a torturing and then putting a bullet between their eyes kind of a thing. I mean, it's just horrible what they're doing. So they went and they did that. And on their way back, they had an encounter with an angel. And this angel challenged them and said, "Why are you doing this to my people? You need to stop this." And the angel gave them specific instruction on where to go to. Now, I know there's going to be some people right now that are questioning that. And they're going to go, What are you talking about? How can you prove that?
What are you talking about, Greg? How can you prove that?
Our people on the ground, they had sent them to a community of an underground church, and they went and they met these people, and they literally gave up their arms. We have photos and videos of these Taliban literally handing over all of their arsenal, their hand grenades, the different machine guns and firearms. I mean, it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen with my own eyes. So we know this. The people on the ground are very trustworthy. They told us about this. These Taliban now, Rusty, the reason we couldn't share it before is that these guys would have gotten exposed. They would have traced it back, and there would have been a lot of people that would have been tracked down, connected to the story. But these people are out of harm's way. They're being discipled right now. They have received Jesus as their Lord and Savior, which is the best part of the story. But I think the point is that God is working in supernatural ways. And you're right. I mean, just because we don't hear about these things as much today, healings and encounters with angels like this, doesn't mean it's not happening. But the faith of the person praying is really key to it. So as now I'm telling you this story and God's doing it, doesn't mean God's going to do that every time. But I think that with the carnage of Christians in Afghanistan right now, that God's heart is grieving over what's going on, and he responds to the prayers of his people, Rusty. So it's just amazing what just happened.
Absolutely. Wow. That is, wow. That's all I can say is wow.
I know.
So you got a bunch of pictures. Now, normally the pictures, the people are their faces are blacked out or fuzzy. And I was told that you've got pictures where you're able to not unfuzzy you can actually see the faces.
We've got some clear photos of we want people to appreciate these are human beings.
Mm-hmm.
They're men, women, children, just like our families and our friends that are suffering right now. And you'll see even some smiles on some of these faces. Now, the reason we're able to share these, Rusty, without concealing identities is because they're out of harm's way. So a lot of people are getting across the border to the north, the south, the east and the west in the countries, and they're getting in these makeshift refugee camps. Now, many of the people that are getting across the borders, it's illegally done, but they are fleeing from the Taliban, who are going from village to village and hunting them down, as I said. And so as they're getting into these makeshift refugee camps, they're outside of Afghanistan and they're free and they're safe. That doesn't mean that they don't have a long, difficult journey ahead of them, but they're out of immediate danger. That's and so awesome. You can see pictures here, Rusty, of some people being given materials and supplies. You can see there's pictures of some leaders. I think one of them happens to be in Pakistan, sharing the gospel with them, encouraging them. Some of these people have just come to know Jesus. Others have just heard the gospel story, and it's new to them. The message is new. Rusty, let's not forget that of the 99 out of 100 Afghans have never heard the good news of Jesus Christ. And so these precious people, as they're coming out of this horrible scenarios and situations, they're hearing the gospel for the first time. And when they come into these camps, they're met with the love of Jesus. They're given food, blankets, supplies to help them. The winter is coming, Rusty. So they're about ready to go into a very difficult time where snow will these are higher elevations in the mountains. So we need to really kind of come alongside and continue to put resources in their hands And we're talking about, just survival standpoint. What do they need? They need food. I mean, if I came into your home and went into all your cupboards and confiscated your refrigerator, I don't know how long you're going to last, but you're going to need food, right? You're going to need food. They don't have anything.
Worldmission.cc is where you can go to help out, by the way. Worldmission.cc. What else do we got here?
Yeah, there's a picture, Rusty, of a family that is in an airplane there. And I love this picture. This is one of the first evacuations that we were a part of. And these people had gone from community to community. I've been telling people, Rusty, that for the Christians inside of Afghanistan, it's like playing hide and seek. And if you get caught, they'll kill you. And so this family, we were able to get out. It's just beautiful. I see the images of the little ones, the children, and there's no hope for them, right? I mean, to be a follower of Jesus is not an option as things stand right now inside of Afghanistan, unless it's deep cover. Everything that's being done is the undercover church. So we had heard another story of a family, and this story is a group of 10 people that were trying to flee. They happen to be trying to get across. There's an area in the southern part of Afghanistan where the borders of Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan kind of come together. So it was right in that area.
Sounds like a good place for a party.
I'm telling you, that sounds like a little scary spot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's go on a vacation there. And they tried to get across into Pakistan, and there was a horrible gunfight that had erupted between the Taliban, the Afghans, and Pakistani. It was just kind of a combination of people just trying to, fight against each other. And that's the area that they were trying to get across. So it was obviously way too dangerous to try to evade and get into Pakistan. So they came back inside of Afghanistan, and then out of desperation tried to get into Iran. And so we're hearing more and more stories of people trying to get across in Iran. So Iran's border is fortified. They've got lots of people, a lot different than, other locations around the world. But as far as getting into the country, so they get into the country once, they're sent back. They got in a second time, and the Iranian police grabbed them very aggressively, push them across and say, you are not welcome into our country. So it's an impossible set of circumstances, Rusty, that so many of these people face. But we just had gotten this story last week of these 10 people. So the message is we need to be praying. We need to pray for the people that right now are trying to get out, that the Lord just protects them like he's been doing. The supernatural story of this angel, I think, should encourage all of us that God hears our prayers, but our specific prayers need to be that God would help them evade the threats of the enemy who are trying to kill them, and just that God would protect them, give them safe passage into these places.
Now, I don't want to throw you off on I don't know if you've got everything scheduled, because I get a look at the pictures just for a second. There's a video.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the video?
The video is really cool because that is actually individuals, children to women. They're
on a bus.
They're on a bus, and they had just gotten outside of Afghanistan.
Really?
Yeah. And so you'll see the full veil. There are women being executed in Afghanistan right now that don't have the full veil. It's prohibited in that radical ideology of Islam that they subscribe to, the Taliban, that a woman you cannot see any of her face.
Yeah.
So I've seen videos of women executed because they didn't have a veil on. Wow. So you'll see all these women will have the veils on, but they are joyful as well. It's almost like they're at an amusement park, or they're celebrating something. They're celebrating their freedom.
Well, let's play this video of this joy leaving Afghanistan. Hey, they're dancing and singing and they're excited because they're finally out.
They're finally out.
Now, are these people that have become Christians already?
Well, you know,
how do we get that video? I mean, that's a
Well,
good question. Or maybe you can't talk about that.
Well, our partners that are on the ground are with these people. Now, when people, it's certainly if we know of Christians that are in there that need help, obviously we're trying to help them because they are in harm's way. But it's not a mandatory, there's not like a checklist that we say, are you a Christian? And if you're not, oh, we can't help you. So there's nominal Christians, there's people who just heard the gospel. Many of them are Christians that we're able to save right now. But so many of them, after they come out, we just pour them, we shower them with love. We give them materials, we give them food, they get blankets. And yes, they hear the good news of Jesus. We're distributing several thousand of the treasures and the messengers with our partnership with In Touch in the Dari and Pashto languages. So that they can hear the good news of Jesus in the solar powered audio Bible. So,
and I've seen those things work, how excited people are when they get them. And then, we find out we've come back to places where you had been a year earlier or 2 years earlier. And I've been listening to this 4 hours, 5 hours a day, every day for 2 years.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because there's different elements of that going on, Rusty. One is that so few of them are able to read. I mean, underneath the last 20 years, some of the progress that's been made, especially with the women's rights, give opportunity for education. The Taliban is shutting all of that down. So, education that we take for granted is not the case in a place like Afghanistan. So when you have some of the younger ladies who are coming through there, most of them are oral learners. So they prefer to learn in a non-literate way. So the treasure is just magic as they're listening in their own language. And you're right, they will listen. It's humbling, quite honestly, because we'll always ask the question, how long are you listening to this? And many times they'll say, 4 and 5 hours or even more commonly, well, until it turns off, so they just wear the battery out and then recharge it. But all those people are getting treasures.
Wow. Well, it sounds like World Mission is really making a lot of progress in a place that, heck, just a couple of weeks ago, we wouldn't have thought that you were going to make progress. And again, thanks to the Lord acting in those supernatural ways to help make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And folks can help too.
That's exactly right, Rusty. I mean, the way you can help is go to the website, worldmission.cc. If you want to be the hands and feet of Jesus, help us. There are literally thousands and thousands of Afghans that are living in these makeshift refugee camps that they have a tarp over their head. Winter is coming. We have the opportunity to get them blankets. Food is the biggest request. Of course, we've shared a lot of humanitarian sort of emergency issues over the last year, Rusty, but this one is as dire as they come. We're so thankful to get them out of harm's way. That is obviously first and foremost. And by the way, in the midst of incredible logistical difficulty and a lot of people putting their lives in harm's way to get them out. So we can check that box in a lot of cases. There's more that need to come out. But for those that have made it into these camps, they don't have anything. They're not recognized by the sort of the international UN refugee. So they don't get help. There's no help that's coming from the UN, from USAID, from any of these, the organizations, the government entities. So it's an opportunity for the church. Christians need to lean into this moment and be the hands and feet of Jesus and just help these people. And I promise you, the hearts of the Afghans that are less than 1% Christian are opening to the gospel. God's using this in such a crazy way. This tragedy, God is using it for the gospel to impact the Afghan people.
Yeah, well, it's amazing work that Greg is doing to help the Lord, and you can do it too. And again, it's very simple. Just go to worldmission.cc, worldmission.cc, and please help make a big difference in the lives of these people that are just learning what the word Jesus means. So please go to worldmission.cc and share this video with some of your friends who also have belief in Jesus' last words, the Great Commission, and we sure appreciate it. Until next time, I'm Rusty Humphries. He's the CEO of World Mission, His name's Greg Kelley, and this is the World Mission Update.